Right guys, hello, welcome to another video on the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. We're going to do a weapons masterclass, cover all the weapons, how to handle them, shoot them, reload them, throw them, slash with them, make things blow up to make you better at the game. I did a video on this a long time ago, many months ago, as a weapons showcase. However, that was then, this is now. We've had the meat grinder update, they've introduced the trial, the horde mode, and some of these weapons really do excel in the trial. So if that is the case, I'll mention it as we go through them, but I will do a video to help you guys understand the trial a bit better and do well with that. So we'll break this video down with timestamps. We'll do the weapons in categories to help you find what you want. If you just want to get better at the bow, you can skip ahead, but it might be worth watching the whole video. You might learn a trick or two. So I think we'll start with the handguns. Got the weakest, which is the 30 caliber revolver. It's what you'll start with. As we work up in caliber, there's then the 9mm, which is an automatic. Then we've got the 45 revolvers. I've got the DLC weapons, so I've got the Sheriff. It looks like the Colt Python, which Rick Grimes is infamous for carrying. Looks very cool. For the most part, the DLC weapons are just skins for weapons already in the game. However, the Sheriff takes 10 less metal to craft than the other 45 revolver. We get access to these weapons pretty much straight away. You still need materials to craft them, but all the same, it's nice to have access to them early, and it's not always a skin. Sometimes there's some subtle differences. So yeah, as we're talking about the handguns, people do ask me how I'm such a good shot. So what we should probably cover first, if we go into the options, we've got handgun grip, pitch, offset. Now I've got the Rift S and the touch controllers. For me, I've gone for a -2 degree offset. So what does that mean? Well, the gun is tilting down ever so slightly. Now we all use different headsets, different controllers. I know the Vive ones, it's a bit weird how you hold them. I've got a true pistol grip. So what I want is to hold the gun out, hold my arm out straight, and for the front dot at the front of the gun to sit between the two dots on the rear sight, and that should just happen naturally. I shouldn't have to tilt my wrist up or tilt it down. Just put my hand out and it just feels natural. So it sort of gets to the point where I don't even really need to aim down the sights. I just hold my arm out straight. I'm fairly confident where the bullets are going to go with practice, but you really always should aim. So that's always worth keeping in mind. We'll go over the revolvers because there's quite a few tricks. Something I should mention is that you'll take shots at walkers, hit them in the head, and it will stun them. It won't kill them. It will stop them in their tracks. It will ricochet. You hear this pew sound, so you have to hit them again. Now this is more likely to happen with the 30 caliber being the weakest. It'll still happen with a 9mm, although less likely. Even less likely to happen with a 45, as it's a more powerful round. That's something to keep in mind. I am a big fan of the revolvers, especially in the trial. The 30 caliber is my starting weapon of choice. It will never jam on you. It will break, but if it breaks, you have a pistol frame. You can hit people with that, as well as pistol whip with a gun when it's in working operation. When you play the single player story, you'll find these out in the world. There'll be worn revolvers. Stuff we find is never as good as the stuff that we can craft. You can see this is a custom revolver, so you might end up with quite a few worn revolvers, and later in the game you're never going to use them, but they might have a couple of rounds in it that you'd like to salvage just in case. So a cool trick we can do with the revolvers is open the cylinder up and let the rounds fall out. So we've got a number of guns, just empty all the ammo out onto the table, throw them into the recycling bin, and that's going to give me 2 bindings, 4 workable metal, and a pistol frame for each of the worn revolvers. So now you know. When it comes to reloading, some people do it 1 round at a time, which you can do if you've only fired a couple of shots, but that takes time, and sometimes we don't have time. We need to reload rapidly. So what we do, open up the cylinder, we're going to bring the gun into our stomach, tilt the barrel up ever so slightly with the cylinder being over the ammo icon. With our offhand, we're just going to bring it across, and we're going to fan that grip button as quick as we can, and that's put 6 rounds into the cylinder. Now I can snap it shut, flick of the wrist, or use the button, whatever works for you. So if you do put the practice in, you can reload incredibly quickly. It's an absolute lifesaver. We can do exactly the same with the 45 revolvers. It's different ammunition, but the handgun operates essentially exactly the same. So we're going to go outside. We'll talk about the automatic, a little bit different. So I've worn this one down a little bit. We see it's 5-star durability. Someone said to me many months ago, if it's 5-star durability, it never breaks. That's wrong. It's an absolute lie. You clearly haven't played much of the game. So if it's got 5 stars, it might last a little bit longer than a worn automatic, which might be 3 stars, but it's still going to wear down. Its health is next to firearm. We see it's quite low, maybe about 20%. As it degrades, it has a chance to jam. Once it goes into the red, it's going to become incredibly unreliable. So we'll try and show it jamming. So there we go. I need to work the action to clear the malfunction. Still got some rounds left. Fired and it's jammed. So it's not really any more useful than a revolver. So we'll show the reload. Push the button. It's going to eject the detachable magazine, and I'm going to catch it in the other hand. Put those rounds back into stores. Grab a fresh magazine. I'm not going to call it a clip because it triggered so many people saying that. Although it is common slang, even in The Walking Dead, the first season, Rick Grimes says, "Oh, I've got a 9mm automatic with a single clip" to Glenn when he's stuck in the tank. Whatever. We've done the tactical reload. There was still a round in the chamber, so I put the detachable magazine back in and we are ready to fire. However, if I'd run the gun dry, the slide is locked back. When I put the magazine in, I need to work the action. That's going to pick up another round, chamber it, and we're ready to fire. So some people can be stressed out. There's a lot of walkers around, they might fluff the reload. So it's always a good idea to tactically reload. If you fire off a few shots and you've got a bit of time, just eject the mag, put a fresh one in so you know you're good. Something we can quickly mention as well with the weapons is if we've got a blade, we can use that to steady the gun. You can use your offhand to do it. Some people like to use a blade because they've got it there if they want to stab. I can effectively dual wield pistols, so I don't really bother doing that, but just so you're aware, if you want to throw the blade, I do actually do that. If you hit them in the leg, it will stun them. You can get the headshot. You do what you want to do. You can have a bit of fun with it. So yeah, we've got quite a lot of bullets in the magazine. That's helpful. Saves us having to reload too often. People will say it has a higher rate of fire, which is kind of true. However, we do have the muzzle flip. The more you shoot, the recoil, it's lifting the front of the gun up. So the faster you shoot, the less accurate you are. So you've got to steady the gun and get your sights on target. So really, to effectively use it, it's no faster than a revolver. We just know we've got more ammo in the magazine. But I've just shown we can reload revolvers incredibly quickly. So it's kind of a, whatever suits you kind of thing. So that's the automatic, the 9mm. We can move on to the rifles. So let's start with the bolt action. Seriously avoid this in the trial. Not saying it's a terrible gun, but the reload is quite awkward. In the trial, it's a horde mode. They are always coming towards you. You're not really going to get many opportunities to get long range shots off. You'll see when I fire this. So I've hit the target, but I need to work the bolt. More haste, less speed. If you try to rush it, you'll probably fluff it. See what I mean? It can be a little bit tricky. I try to turn it over a little bit, catch the bolt and reload. After we've fired a few shots, I've still got 2 left, still got a couple of rounds. This does have a detachable magazine which I can catch, and we can do the tactical reload. So it's not too bad to use in the story. Keep in mind that rifle rounds will go through targets, straight through helmets, rip straight through the helmets. I've had at least 3 zombies dead in one shot because of through and through headshots, which is kind of cool. So that uses 7.62 ammunition, which brings us on to the lever action rifle. Now this is really, to be fair, ambidextrous. Use it left or right handed. I feed in rounds with it in my left hand, If I have it in my right, it's not really an issue. So when it comes to firing it, I like the sights on it. It's good, holds quite a lot of ammo. Once we fire, we need to rack it to get another round in the chamber. You can do this one of two ways. You can either treat it like the pump action shotgun, use your offhand, bring it towards you, and then away again. That's one way to do it. I personally, whichever your trigger hand is, fire, punch forward with it, and then come back. I do it pretty quickly though, but you find you can be pretty rapid with it. So yeah, I like it. Good sights, durability's reasonably good. You can stuff a lot of rounds in it. So that's the lever action. What have we got next on the wall? Got the pump action shotgun. I like this in the story, not so much in the trial mode, but we'll explain that when we get over to the double-barreled shotgun, which will be next. So as I fire this, I need to pump it, bring my left arm back and then forwards again. Yes, we can be an 80s movie action hero and do it one-handed. It's kind of cool, but you only get so many shots before you've got to start feeding shells into the tube underneath. This gun can jam on you. It's kind of rare, but it does happen. All the same, quite a cool gun, and lots of people want it in the story, and sadly the double barrel gets overlooked because of it. Now some people say the durability is not as good, so it will wear down faster than the Nova, but when it comes to the trial, this thing is absolutely savage. There's firearm boosters. You find these on hanging zombies. When you shoot them, they drop a purple power-up, which when you eat, gives you infinite ammo. No reloading is necessary for 60 seconds. Now, with the pump action, every time I fire, I still need to pump it. With this and the firearm booster, it becomes fully automatic. I don't have to reload, so I can just keep shooting. It's just, yeah, you just wipe out so many zombies in next to no time. So it's sad that kind of it gets overlooked in the single player game, and people don't practice with it and they think it's terrible. So once you've got the 2 shots, you've got to reload. It's worth practicing. Once you've got the reload down, I'd say the rate of fire is probably about the same as the Nova. Every shot with a Nova, I've got to pump it. With this, I've got 2 shots before I reload. With the Nova, the pump action, after so many shots, then I've got a long pause as I feed rounds in underneath, and then I have to pump it. So I really like the double barrel. I'll have a few of them, put a couple on my backpack, and once you use the firearm booster, that repairs your weapon as well. Everything in your backpack, everything in your pockets. So the fact it wears down isn't a big deal. These absolutely devastate the survivors in the world. If you're really struggling with the tower or the reclaimed factions, shoot them with a shotgun is almost guaranteed kill. Brings us on to the assault rifle. Got a couple of them. Again, it's pretty much an ambidextrous rifle. In real life, the complaint people would have left-handed is that as it's firing and ejecting the spent casings, the brass is flying in your face. If it doesn't have a deflector, which this does, you just chew on brass. We're in virtual reality. We don't care about that. We're not actually going to get hit in the face. So you have it in either hand. It's kind of hard to see because that pop-up keeps coming up. But there is a selector switch. If I can get it to show. There you are. So it's on fully automatic. Wouldn't even bother aiming down the sights. Just use the tracers to see where the rounds are going. If I give it another click, we're now burst fire. If I give it one more click, we're now repetition. One shot at a time. We're now empty, so I need to take the magazine out, put in a fresh mag. We see we need to work the charging handle at the back. Picks up a round, chambers it. So yeah, I like it. Single shot, you're going to get better accuracy. You're not going to burn through your ammo so much. You won't get this gun till very late in the game. You'll find worn assault rifles which will jam on you very quickly if you are using it fully automatic, so we'll try and demonstrate that. But this one, it's worn down a bit. Yep, she's already jammed on me. So can have a bit of a bad reputation, and this isn't even worn. This is a custom one that's just been worn down. So yeah, just be aware of that. But much like the automatic pistol, we can do the tactical reload. So keep that in mind. It's pretty good in the trial if you find it, but they're random recipe drops. There's no guarantee you'll find it. But again, with the firearm booster, the lever action, I would need to reload that, cock it with each shot. With the assault rifle, just put it on single fire and just aim for the heads. Just go for through and through headshots. Just keep firing. You can't really go wrong. So we can put is that the NAF one? Put the assault rifle back. And that brings us on to the blade. So I've already shown we can use it to steady the blades. Use the blade to steady the handguns. I've got the K-bar knife, the National Guard knife. This is really the shiv. It costs a little bit more to craft, but it is essentially, it just looks better than the shiv, and you have to pay more for it. So looks aren't necessarily always better. When it comes to fighting, certainly in the trial, I wouldn't rely on it. Stamina is life. Yes, we have a health bar shown on the watch. Yeah, we want to try and keep our stamina. Now, I prefer the cleaver style blades. Go for the neck, just take the head clean off. We can sever the arms off. If you get both the arms off, it will essentially kill the walker. It will kill them off. You can't take the legs off, but severing uses less stamina than stabbing them in the head. So anything we can do to try and retain stamina is a good thing. The shiv isn't necessarily good for throwing. It's just like the starter blade. It's not too bad. I can throw it quite well. We've got the night shift there, so durability is not too bad. Sharpness isn't too bad. 5 stars for throwing. Actually, pretty awesome blade, to be honest. Just keep in mind that when you throw blades, that does less damage to the blade itself than actually stabbing with it. We can push the trigger button to flip it round, whether we want to stab upwards or downwards. So I've got a more basic cleaver there. So again, we can throw these, but it's not really rated for it. Sometimes you get lucky. If you get the arm, you can sever the arms off by throwing these. But ideally, we're using it like a mini katana. We'll get onto the swords a bit later. Just trying to save our stamina by severing the heads. We do have the claw. Find the plans for this doing the single player story. It's locked up in a safe. So you can be Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or you can have a pair of them, craft them, and pretend to be Wolverine. So the durability is reasonably good. Sharpness is pretty good. Absolutely useless for throwing though. We can bring our hands back, stab them in the face. You can essentially have a human shield, like a meat shield. Stab a zombie, keep it on the blades as people are shooting at you to cover yourself. Or we also know that pillows are bulletproof. We can use those as shields. So on to more bladed weapons. We've got the esteemed mortal, the super axe. This is found in a lockbox. You need to figure out the clue to find a recipe. So two-handed. I'm not a big fan of it. You can sever heads and slash the arms off. I prefer the swords. We do have a fire axe. You'll find these reasonably commonly out in the world. There's even a hatchet as well. You can dual that two-handed if you want, or just one-handed. It's up to you. Now you know there's a crowbar. So yeah, try to avoid melee because it will eat into your stamina. We've got the Judge, or as true Walking Dead fans will want to call it, Lucille, Negan's baseball bat. Again, uses a fair bit of stamina swinging it around. I really try to avoid using it in the trial. In fact, I've never used any of the bludgeoning weapons in the trial. I do use the sword. So we've got the grass cutter. This was the original sword we could craft. Good durability, excellent sharpness. Okay for throwing if you actually practice. So yeah, grass cutter. Fuck yes. But with the meat grinder update, they gave us a if I can grab it. Absolution, which looks like a Hattori Hanzo katana from Kill Bill. So you can sever heads off just one-handed. Using both hands gives you a bit more precision, a bit more control. You can flip it around. Don't use the trigger, you'll just have to catch it, and you can throw it quite effectively with practice. Yeah, so much like, as I said, the cleavers were a mini katana, we're trying to save our stamina by cutting off arms legs. People do like to use one in both hands if that's what you want to do. Fair enough, I won't stop you. Which brings us on to the bow. We just go outside. So I've had people ask me, should they come outside and practice? There's a little range by the side of the bus. Now, I've never done this. I prefer to just practice on real targets, on actual zombies out at the locations. So what many of you will be doing is, you've seen Robin Hood with either Kevin Costner or Russell Crowe. So you hold the bow out like they do in the Olympics. They draw the string. As soon as it comes back, you don't hold it, you just let go. Now, that's how you would shoot it in real life, but in the game, I don't do that. I've got these extra arrows here, the different types to choose between. There's a lot of noise in my vision. I prefer to hold it horizontally. Now, my view is clear where I'm looking. I can grab the arrow. Now, I will hold it back, and I'm really just judging the distance by tilting the bow up and down. So I never really shoot at the target. I'm used to shooting walkers in the head. Now, in the trial, they're always coming towards you. Shooting them at close range isn't particularly difficult. But here, at the range, they might be further away. Now, if I get used to shooting at this distance, they could be further away. They could be closer. So I think it's better to practice in single player. And when you're done practicing on the location, just load your previous save so you don't waste your arrows and resources having to build new ones. If you watch the video I've done, like bow or bow before me, you'll see I'm pretty good with the bow. And when you get as good and you get confident in being able to do those shots, then you can start looking at the explosive arrows. So you can stick that into a group of walkers and they all go bang, they all go away. We have the lure arrow as well. This is quite cool. There's firecrackers on the ends. When we fire this, it'll start popping off. And that will attract walkers. We can sneak by or get up behind them, cut their heads off. It just adds another element to the stealth gameplay, those of you that want to be all sneaky and stuff. So yeah, I really do like using the bow. It does use skill. I know you don't want to hear practice, 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 but it does make perfect. As we've done the bow and explosives, we'll come over to Pandora's box and we'll grab the explosives to show how these work. So we've got timed explosives, sticky proximity bombs, and we have nail bombs, or essentially impact grenades. So we'll go outside so we don't make a mess. We'll just show the explosive timed. So with my offhand, I'm going to grab, turn the dial to set the timer. Throw it, drop it, do whatever you want. Just don't be anywhere near it, because danger Will Robinson, that's going to blow. So there we go. Got the nail bomb, the impact grenade. Be very, very careful. These are incredibly dangerous. If it goes off too near you, you will die. So it's a good idea to try and backpedal as you're throwing to make sure you're well clear by the time it lands. Try and get a reasonable arc on it. Another thing I like to do with the nail bombs is try to set them as traps. You can shoot them, or we can try and trigger it in other ways. So I have the proximity bomb, so I can throw this down. That's now ready to blow when any walker or person gets near it. That's the trigger. That will explode and in turn can detonate the impact grenade, the nail bomb. Another thing we can do is actually shoot them. So I'll try and make sure I'm far enough away that I don't hurt myself. There we go. I hit the nail bomb and that detonated the proximity. So you can see you could have a explosives spread about, sort of just through secondary explosions, kill an awful lot of walkers. There's a lot of little nuances to the games, lots of subtle little things that we can discover just by playing around. So I've shown you some of these weapons, but there are also a lot of things that you wouldn't even think is a weapon. So the lighter, you can actually puncture them in the head with that. I've bashed them over the head with clocks, used the angel statues. You can smash bottles, stab them with that. I did a whole video on that. Will anything kill a walker? That was kind of fun to do. So hopefully that's covered pretty much everything, and you guys will be a little bit better with the weapons. Next video we'll go through the trial, and that should be a little bit more exciting because I will actually be killing walkers and showing what I prefer. Actually, before we go, because I know people will ask, we'll just come to the bench just so people understand. When you start the game, each bench needs to be upgraded to unlock recipes, and people ask me, when I start, what did I prefer? Well, it's all up to you. But for me, as I said earlier, stamina is life. So custom footwear, sprinting is quieter and costs 25% less stamina. Now, it's not that I'm trying to be a ninja, but I want to save my stamina. So I worked on this bench first to get to this stamina upgrade. Then I could start focusing on the guns. Anything in green at the bottom are hidden recipes. We can see what they are now, but when you start out, it just gives you a cryptic clue. So over to the left here, it says the mob boss's neighbor was a very good cook. All of the food recipes are found in kitchens in the various locations. Very, very easy to find. Some of them are a clue to find a code, and when you've got that code, that's unique to you, but then you need to find the location that the safe is at and then open it up with that code. So it's just a little bit of fun. I think it really helps with the game. You've got this tension of trying to figure out the clue, then actually find the stuff when there's walkers around every corner. So what you want to upgrade and when is up to you. Just realize it's going to take resources. You can track it on the journal, items that you want to keep a note of, but I tend to just think in my head, right, I haven't got any metal. Above Pandora's box, it will tell me exactly what resources I have. So as I'm looking, I'm like, well, shotgun frames I'll find anyway. Got plenty of wood, plenty of nuts and bolts, plenty of metal, sharp objects. Probably could do with some of that. Proteins I need. So yeah, you just keep an idea in your head. Byte coins, that's all to do with the trial, which we'll definitely cover in the next video. So we'll leave it there, guys. Have a great day. Have a great evening, whatever it is you choose to do after watching this. And as always, I'll see you when I see you next. Ciao for now.